When I'm in the mountains, life is so incredibly simple.
Who impresses you right now?
This kid Marc-Andre Leclerc. He's been doing all kinds of crazy alpine soloing. What I'm doing is on rock, and then I see Marc-Andre free soloing on ice and snow.
First time I heard about Marc, he's living in a snow cave on the Parkway or something. He is pushing things that is pretty much unknown.
I'm Marc-Andre Leclerc. I'm a climber, generally speaking.
He's different than anyone I'd ever met. I love him for that.
He belongs in a different era when it was like wild.
I can tell little Marc-Andre stories all day, but he doesn't even care if anybody ever knows what he's climbing.
It's more just to have a casual, fun adventure.
I just hope he's careful.
Anything could happen.
I mean, I know it's dangerous. I'm not like deluding myself that it's not dangerous to go soloing.
So why do it?
Solo alpinism, climbing big, technical mountains, is more than just a sport.
It's only for the very best climbers on their very best days.
It's the art of surviving in the most crazy situations.
Marc-Andre had some challenges as a kid. Climbing was like a form of freedom to be himself.
When you're in the mountains, it's like all of the superficialities of life just sort of evaporate.
Holy smokes!
Torre Ager.
They're going climbing.
Some people consider it the hardest peak in the Americas.
Is a razor's edge between genius and madness. That's a sharp, hard edge to ride.
Marc dropped off the radar.
A climber has gone missing.
If death was not a possibility, coming out would be nothing. Not an adventure and not an art.
How was it? Scary?
No, not particularly.
Just another day out.
A really good day out.
For more than a year and a half, the Federal Aviation Administration refused to allow any Boeing 737 MAX jets in the air after 346 people were killed in two separate crashes. After the deadly incidents, Boeing's former CEO defended the company's safety record.
When we design a system, understand that these airplanes are flown in the hands of pilots. And in some cases, our system safety analysis includes not only the engineering design, but also the actions that pilots would take as part of a failure scenario.
But a new book argues changes in corporate culture and government oversight led Boeing to prioritize profit over safety. It's called Flying Blind, the 737 MAX tragedy and the fall of Boeing. And author Peter Robison joins us now. He is also an investigative reporter for Bloomberg. Peter, thank you for joining us. So as we just heard, Boeing publicly defended the 737 MAX after those two deadly crashes. What was going on behind the scenes?
Well, the problem with that argument, as you heard Dennis Muhlenberg describe it, was that the pilot and the system works in tandem. But what Boeing did was they didn't tell the pilots about the system on the airplane, the software that ended up taking over the two airplanes and pushing the nose down. And soon after the first crash, pilots from American Airlines heatedly went to Boeing in meetings and said, that was precisely the problem with the MAX, that the pilots had not been told about the software, but Dennis Muhlenberg and Boeing continued to defend the MAX.
So since those crashes, what have we learned about what went wrong with the plane's controls?
We learned that it was tied to a single sensor, and that if that sensor was faulty, if the pilot was not aware of what was happening, it would be very difficult to countermand. Boeing has since redesigned the software to prevent this particular failure. But what we've also learned is that the company just stuck its head in the sand between these two crashes when it was presented with credible comments by pilots and regulators that there was a problem with this system.
Boeing has long prided itself on prioritizing safety over profits, but how did this the corporate culture become more cutthroat?
When Boeing started, it was a company that had really been turned into what it was in the jet age by people who came of age in World War II. It was a collective culture. It was heavily unionized, and over time that shifted, and the company became more about the bottom line its integrity also shifted. There was a crash in 1985 of a 747. It was a terrible accident, but within a month, Boeing took responsibility and said it was a result of a bad repair job. Instead, after the first MAX crash, you heard explanations like the one Dennis Muhlenberg made in that clip you played, and even after the second crash, you heard a reluctance to ground the plane.
You also write about the cozy relationship between the FAA and Boeing to the extent that the government effectively outsourced some of its oversight to Boeing?
That also changed over years, and that really started in the 80s with the Reagan administration and the cuts in funding to government. Since that point, all federal agencies have been starved for funds, and at the FAA it played out in this outsourcing of responsibilities to Boeing itself, and there was an expectation that the company would have an interest of its own to protect safety. But what ended up happening was that the profit motive overrode that.
What do you want readers to take away from your book?
That's a great question, and I would love people to read the book and to think of it in terms of how to maintain a safety culture at a company and how to make sure that the need of any company to make a profit is not overridden by safety.
Okay, Peter Robinson, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I love when I start a day and I really don't know where it's gonna take me. Waking up every day in a different country, creating projects.
Nous l'appellerons JR, photographe clandestin, il mitraille la journée et la nuit il colle.
Never really looking back, just being in the action. Action, action, action. Maybe that's why I've always been documenting it, to keep a trace of it. Vas-y, tes impressions.
Ah, c'est de la bombe, hein?
It's not only about the art, it's about the people. I've seen lots of negativity in my life. It's just so much easier to find the dark side. The basic things that we need to survive is actually human contact and to get to know the other and to get to listen to the other.
That little kid say, I'm here, I exist.
I'm not the person that you see.
We want to be that big from way up there.
Art can go places, beyond laws, beyond rules, beyond borders. Maybe because art is not part of any organization. It's not part of the state. It's something that we own, we the people own. And that's why it goes so far.
Y al tratar quiere darle voz a lo que está callado.
And then of course, some people ask, yeah, but what is this going to achieve? I don't know. Let's see. A Chinese tea at the Mexican border. How's that?
At a secret location near Myanmar's Chinese border, we've gained access to a training camp run by ethnic insurgents. But the trainees are not hardened guerrilla fighters. They're ordinary young men and women, students, activists, some as young as 17, who've got themselves organised on social media to come and train for a war against the military junta. On February the 1st, the Burmese army abandoned its experiment with a partial democracy and retook power in a coup. Hundreds of thousands took to the streets to demand a return to civilian rule. But the army responded with a brutal and bloody crackdown. In 3 months, the army has reportedly killed over 800 unarmed protesters, including at least 50 children, and arrested thousands more. Despite the risks, the volunteers keep coming. But the camaraderie of camp life belies the crisis unfolding in the country. Their resistance has come at a cost. The regime has launched a campaign of airstrikes against villages under the control of the Kachin and Karen armies. At the Karen village of Debuno, even the school was a target. The students had already evacuated when it was hit. According to independent human rights organizations, since the coup, dozens of civilians have been killed and injured in airstrikes across Karen and Kachin states. Over 70,000 have fled their homes to hide out in makeshift shelters in the forest. Since the coup, the regime has also rounded up and arrested dozens of democratically elected politicians. Susanna Lala So was a National League for Democracy MP in Yangon. She's now living in hiding. A group of politicians launched the National Unity Government as an alternative to the military junta. Dr. Sasa is their spokesman on international affairs.
Military generals for many decades have been afraid of the united people of Myanmar. But I think the people of Myanmar have shown that we are united.
But for some ethnic leaders, the failure of the previous National League for Democracy government to negotiate peace undermines their statements in support of federalism now.
For the past, I think that the urban community, they don't understand the suffering of the ethnic area. Now they come to know what has happened in their area. Now we have the common goal to end the military coup and to have the real democracy.
Having finished the course, this batch of recruits returns to barracks for the last time. Their aim is to join a nationwide network of People's Defence Forces fighting the junta. But with just 3 weeks training, no overall leadership, and very few weapons, they face an uncertain future.
Has been kicking my butt.
Time made moves, I can't stop now. Never slow me down. I was born to run, baby.
Alright. It's definitely not going to be easy because life is about hurdles, obstacles, and this is going to be part of that process. That doesn't mean that I don't think that I'm not going to be able to do it. I think I'll definitely be more than ready and have the mental capability to push through myself, anything that comes my way. So it won't be easy, but I know for sure I won't stop till I get to the finish line.
I feel really confident in him. I've never lived in an RV. He hasn't either, so it's going to be a challenge that way for him to, do all the recovery and eat as much as he needs, but I think we're gonna be able to get it done.
I've run by myself every day for almost 4 years, so I'm okay, but who knows, when we're doing ultra distance, that's a different game. So I think it's only gonna help if some people come along, friends or anybody, just to get a few miles in. I just have to remember my reason. So Soul for Soul is a non-profit. Their goal is always to get shoes and money and clothes for people. Like 300 million people, according to them, don't have shoes to wear. 100% of the proceeds goes to that. And I'm excited to do whatever it takes to add on to that, shoes, money, or clothes. I love this, I love this, I love this, I love it.
Let's go!
Yeah. Woo. Day one.
We just started, the energy's high, but I'm ready for anything to come. I'm ready for the challenge. I'm ready to face it. Promise y'all, no matter the circumstances, I'm gonna give my best. I'll see y'all in New York City. No, that's too soon to say, but I'll see y'all soon. Let's get it. Let's go. Let's get it! Let's go! All right, we stopped for a little bit, put on our hydration vest, and I got some headphones, and I got my shades. So, we stunning. This is the funny thing I do. Whenever I pause my run, I make a mark. I'm not gonna start in front of this. Nope, I gotta start where I stopped. That's what I gotta do. We're running every inch, everything of the way to New York City, baby. In the middle of my run, I had these couple coming at me. Lady was more aggressive. She asked me what I'm doing. I said, I'm running across the country for a nonprofit. She's like, that's bullshit, you're gonna get cut up. And she's coming towards us with a dog and started chasing us. Luckily, I had Belle next to me with a car, so I jumped into the car to pause the run, but she was literally chasing us. And we don't know if she has a knife or a gun, so we decided to pause the run. I'm in the car, we drove away. I'm gonna try to call the authority. Maybe they can escort me through around Route 66. It's the only way through. Not only is running 5, you got 5 money. I got $1. Day 14, we keep grinding. Day 19 in progress. We are in the Navajo Nation right now in Arizona, creeping up on New Mexico. We're getting there. We're more than halfway over in the state of Arizona. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit. First, if you're asking, why do I have a hat on? It's freezing in Arizona. I never thought it'd be this cold in Arizona. It's cold. I have hand warmers in my gloves, and I have my hat on, keeping me warm, but this design is beautiful. So beautiful. Check it out real quick. Check this out. I mean, this is not even the coolest part, and thanks to you guys. If it wasn't the beautiful audience of like yourself, I wouldn't have this, everything that I have right now. So forever grateful, and I'll always remember that. The elevation has been kicking my butt. So my knee right here has been bothering me, and my ankle has been bothering me, no matter what, okay? Let's go. Day 20, and it's windy. I got some beautiful people over here, just giving all their effort to help me, to make me feel better. My leg was really throbbing. Look what he's doing right now, putting ice on it. Because of you guys, I keep saying this, I may sound like a broken record. This is possible. They're supporting me because I have an audience, and because you support me. I appreciate you guys. So let's keep going. I'll see y'all soon. Let's get it. Let's go.
Nice to be here. Fantastic. Fantastic to be here.
What's your mission that you have come?
Afghan Americans have returned, and I'm just filming them coming back.
I just feel so blessed to be here, to be witnessing this thing, of all of you coming home to your country, and with the energy you're bringing and the spirit that you're bringing to this country. It's just so much hope.
My feeling is just, I'm so happy.
Coming off the plane, it was just, I don't know, I just put everything down and started kissing the ground for some reason.
I did kiss the ground, and I actually had a few of the soldiers come up to me, and they thought, they were like, you made us cry by kissing the ground, and I thought, oh my God, you know.
Kabul is the Klondike of the new century, a place where a young person can make, if not a fortune, then a stellar career riding the tide of international money that is flooding in with every United Nations flight from Islamabad. So Kabul has the social attractions of a colonial outpost joined to the feverish excitement of a boomtown.
The work of clearing up mine has already been started, but when you see people who are cleaning these mines holding only a plastic shield next to their face, it tells us how little we have done to do a great job in this place. 400,000 people have been killed and 400,000 more maimed, we cannot afford to maim other people during this cleanup time. And if you can see, their tools are so primitive. That I was privileged to be with a group of Americans who accompanied us in this trip. Every time I became depressed and hopeless about future of Afghanistan, these Americans would lift us and give us hope.
Looks like we're not the only people having a party here today. Okay, this is the commander eating here separately from all of us guys. Afghan traditional parties are till dawn, but these days to stay out after 10 p.m. you have to know the Nam-E-Shab, name of the night, or code of the night.
Nina shawanangwa ichi. Nguvasambizga vanyane.
Nikupangire po movili munhu wakutoka kwa uvili ngeko. Mwanakazi dangu lake ni isitiriwa uvili va ivi.
Malo ya mawilo ya vula ningo inyake pachaka iko waka 3 ndikuti chili chose chayomira. SFHC akatiphalira kuti iyi ni climate change chifukwa cha ukhaliro wa vanyitu wakuwalo nge ku America. Padango lithu pala tikukhumba kuti vinthu visinthe tikumuyendera munthu kuchikaya kwake na kukadumbisana naye. Nkagomezga yayi ngava ngenkulota.
God said you can increase like sand, but he never said spoil the atmosphere.
I don't see it as an issue. That's my problem.
How are you seeing the climate affecting your family?
We see it more as a political agenda.
It would take a global catastrophe to do a complete 180.
Nkhani ya unenesko ikuchedwa kwenda. Kweni ya utesi kuchitavichi kwenda ruiru. Kweni ise chigomezo tili nacho. Bali nyerere zinandi. Kweni nyerere tuchoko tukunyamula panana.
So there is a great divide in experiences itself. What we are experiencing of the world is a very basic experience. It's the foundation of living experiences. But as consciousness expands, the potential in us to experience more is also there. But if the being is not connected, if the mind is not connected to the consciousness, then these experiences do not manifest. Hence, what happens is that we read about these experiences, we hear about these experiences, but we do not have these experiences. And this also causes a great discontentment in life. You know, in life, we are all searching, we are all looking for something. And many people have tried to define what it is. Some people want fame, some people want money, some people want happiness. But if you look very closely to all the different mindly aspirations that we have from life, that we want to achieve this, we want that, the basic desire of every human being is to be satisfied in life. That when I'm satisfied, I'm happy and I'm content. But if you see that how we live our lives, this contentment is not there. Because if we were content, then the mind will not wander from one thought to the other, one desire to the other. Just because we are not content, That is why the mind is wavering and the mind is moving. Many sages have also very beautifully explained that it is the movement of the mind. It is the mind moving from one thought to the other, one desire to the other. That is the cause of great unrest in our life, great unhappiness in our life. And this unhappiness exists because we do not know who we are. So one of the most ancient wisdoms of Sanatan Dharma is Tat Tvam Asi, that you are what you are looking for. Now this is a very, this sentence has a very deep meaning, that you are what you are looking for. Now what am I looking for? Now if I am looking for contentment, if I am looking at a point of saturation, then that point of saturation also has to exist within me. Now this is where things get a little complicated, because the human mind is designed to wander. It is designed to think one thought or the other. Now what we are thinking of this world is all the worldly thoughts. It's our worldly engagement. We are reacting to different reactions that we are receiving from this world. But spiritual experiences do not lie in these worldly experiences. For a spiritual experiences, the mind has to stop wandering and it has to be focused within you into something which is permanent.
Dolina Hunza se nalazi u severnom Pakistanu, blizu granice sa Indijom. Tu živi jedan od najdugovečnijih naroda na svetu. Dolina je plodna, te je pogodna za poljoprivredu, ali se nalazi na velikoj nadmorskoj visini i prilično je izolovana od ostatka sveta. Dugovečni narodi su uvek predmet pažnje i istraživanja. Neki izvori tvrde da Hunza ljudi žive do 120 godina, ali ostavimo po strani dokumentovanu starost i koliko je ona precizna. Lekari koji su pregledali populaciju Hunza ostali su fascinirani činjenicom da su starije generacije Hunza ljudi sasvim zdrave, vitalne i bez bolesti. Ovi ljudi uopšte ne obolevaju od raka. Stručnjaci su dokazali da je narod iz doline Hunza jedini kod koga se beleži potpuno odsustvo kancera. Hunza narod konzumira uglavnom biljnu hranu i to sirovu hranu. Hrana se pretežno sastoji od voća i povrća, kao i žitarica, a troše i sir. Tokom leta jedu sirovo voće i povrće. Tokom zime jedu suve kajsije, ovčji sir i proklijale žitarice. Koriste ono što im je na raspolaganju, pošto su prilično izolovani. Postoji period od oko 3 meseca kada ne jedu ništa, nego samo piju sok od suvih kajsija. To je u proleće kada je i onako nedostatak drugih namirnica. Ovo je kod njih veoma važno i poštuje se kao što je u nekim kulturama važan post. Hunza ljudi su srećni. Oni su raspoloženi i rasterećeni. Njihov način života je približan idealnom. Čini se da su oni zbog okolnosti i uslova u kojima žive dobili idealan režim ishrane za svoje zdravlje. Kupaju se u ledenoj vodi. Rađaju decu i sa 65 godina. Geni i čista sredina svakako da imaju doprinos da ovi ljudi izgledaju mladoliko. Oni žive i rade u čistoj prirodi, veoma su aktivni i prelaze dnevno mnogo koraka. Pa ipak čini se da je za njihov zdrav život ključna ishrana. Oni su vegetarijanci i jedu mnogo sirove hrane gde dominiraju voće i povrće. Obavezno ispoštuju period gladovanja od 3 meseca.
Montana. It's been called the last best place in the United States. This is why more than 12 million people visit some of America's most scenic parks to view wildlife.
A real treat to come out here and see all this activity.
Tourism, fishing, and hunting bring $4 billion to Montana's economy each year. But today, all is not well in the last best place.
In Montana, we've got a little over 1 million people. Trappers, as of last year, made up less than 6,000 people.
Those 6,000 trappers claim that it's still their right to trap animals year-round in Montana, just as they did over a century ago.
Red fox?
Well, I will say that trapping is not for everybody, but if certain things ring your bell, you should be able to do it.
And the trappers make sure that the state legislature upholds that right.
Trapping is kind of the sole outlier where no money comes back to the resources, it all goes to the individual who has converted public property to private property.
Traps can be set 365 days per year. There are no required warning signs for these hidden traps.
They're trapping this close to a populated area that they don't have to post that they're trapping.
My biggest concern is there aren't any safe places to go in the woods anywhere.
I've seen a lot of grotesque things around trap sites. One thing that sticks in my mind was the paw of a river otter that was left in a trap.
No one is safe. Traps are indiscriminate.
She lost her 2 teeth right there chewing on the trap.
She chewed off both her hind legs because she was caught in a trap.
Traps can maim or kill animals instantly. Traps push many species to the brink.
100 years ago, we were wiping out whole species on the Great Plains. We're still allowing people to go out and destroy life with no fair chase. It haunts me.
There is no safe season for people to explore the last best place.
My dogs are sitting ducks for a well-baited trap. They will go right for that trap and bang, they're trapped.
The reservation is like a third world country. A lot of people don't even know we still exist.
When you take a language, a way of life away from a people, that's genocide. When you take a children away from the people, that's genocide.
We feel like we're fighting an uphill battle.
The oil industry, the pipelines, the drugs, the sex trafficking, it all leads to missing and murdered Indigenous women.
This was an orchestrated thing to destroy the Indian.
Who's in power making these decisions that's keeping our people in poverty?
We've forgotten who we are because of mainstream's expectations of being like them.
Everyone's just so used to being on their knees, they forgot what it felt like to stand up.
There is no compassion. Our people are homeless. They're suffering day to day.
They rode through town and they converged on Wounded Knee. Then and there they declared war on the United States.
Yeah, America did a really good job on trying to wipe us out, but they didn't finish the job.
It's time to use who we are as Lakota people.
The oppressor is never going to free the victim. It's always the victims that have to overcome and own their strength and take back the respect and take back their power.
They are the handheld, take-anywhere books filled with superheroes, classic stories, or adult dramas. Their pages have captivated readers for over 80 years. This is the history of comic books. While printed forms of picture-based stories appeared in Europe prior, the first American example of a comic strip came in the form of The Yellow Kid. Due to the popularity of The Yellow Kid, other comic strips soon appeared. In 1933, Famous Funnies collected some of the serialized newspaper strips into a book format. Many historians have deemed this publication as the first comic book. In 1938, the golden age of comic books began with Action Comics #1. This first appearance of Superman ushered in the cape and cowl popularity of the superhero. Not all comics featured heroes, though. Many of the horror comics, such as EC's Vault of Horror, drew in readers who wanted their comics more dark and macabre. The taboo-breaking storylines and shocking artwork garnered too much attention. A Senate subcommittee investigated, and the comic industry self-imposed a set of codes and laws to keep comics upbeat and morally positive. In 1956, Showcase #4 introduced the world to a new version of a DC comic favorite, The Flash. Thus, the Silver Age of comics began. During this time, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby at Marvel Comics would create some of the most beloved heroes, including Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, and the Incredible Hulk. By the 1980s, the modern era of comics saw the big two publishers going head-to-head, Marvel and DC. While they battled for top billing, their characters appeared on television prime time in Saturday morning cartoons. And smaller presses like Pacific, Eclipse, and Fantagraphics slowly entered into the market. The graphic novel also rose in popularity during the 80s. These longer works sometimes were printed comic story arcs, but many featured original, unseen material. This longer form allowed for more in-depth storytelling, and the dramatic content often won literary awards. With the comic codes an outdated form of censorship, publishers abandoned its use. As digital readers became more prevalent, the comic book took new shape in digital form. With comic book characters so identifiable, so many of the comic books we read are made into film. Popular shows like The Walking Dead also use comic books as their source material. And so there's no question that the comic book industry entered a new high point in its history. So the next time you grab your favorite issue or graphic novel, appreciate how far comic books have come since the concept of sequential art began back in ancient Egypt.